Don't fall out of that chair, Karen. That recording's gonna start pretty soon and you're not on it, but I moved the camera over. Is that why you wanted to sit there and not hear anymore?
Yeah.
That was an interesting report on that helium thing. It was really neat, because I didn't even, never even thought about that before.
Except for we're outside of their little boom area.
Yeah.
Well, it's 7 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. Any additions to the agenda? If not, somebody move the agenda. Judy moves it as presented. Any discussion on Judy's motion? And now I'll call the question in favor. Okay, it's carried. You notice that Will's away, he's at work tonight, so we'll move on to the minutes of January 22nd. Any errors, omissions, questions? If not, somebody wish, Barbara? Any discussion on Barbara's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question in favor. Carried. Okay, moving on to committee of the whole for February the 7th. We have nothing. Any questions on that? Cool.
No question, I just would like to move them.
Okay, thank you.
You're up.
Any discussion on Cole's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question in favor. It's carried. Okay, moving on to correspondence. Karen has forwarded you the MLA report from ML Grant Hunter. Any questions on his report there?
I'm assuming that's just a, oh yeah, what's his February, but there's nothing. No title on it, so I just want.
Yeah, and that's what he sent it, when he sent it to Mayors and Reeves. I mean, again, it just came that way under his, he wasn't at the meeting, but, you know, he sent it that way. So,
Oh, he wasn't at the meeting.
No.
I was just wondering if, like, I noticed he had something about childcare, and I just wondered if rural childcare was mentioned.
Yeah, no, he didn't mention, matter of fact, you know, when I get into reports, there was no MLAs there at all.
Thank you.
There was a bit of a discussion of, you know, maybe the Fridays aren't good for them anymore, but it used to be their better day. There was their travel day or day back in the constituency. So. Okay, if nothing there, then the next presentation was from that Helium Developers of Canada. They are looking for letters of support if we're interested in supporting them in the industry. They say that 90% of the helium comes from the States, and they're just trying to get their foot in the door of how and where and why, and it would be more in the southeast corner of the province. And of course, you know, it's like every group that feel that they're being unfairly represented at the government level of funding or lack of, or you know, being penalized because of their, you know, but again, I'm not sure if we're interested in sending a letter of support for the helium industry in the province of Alberta or not.
Sounds like they push for tax breaks.
Well, I think it's even to get the same break as everybody else. I
Yeah.
think is what they're saying, you know, in the industry is not being, so. So anyway, it was a good presentation. Okay, SouthGrow report. Again, that was developed by Peter and sent out to the Mayors and Reeves and all to the contributors. And then the next one was the letter from the Ritas, and so it's as you read into it, their funding is disappearing, and of course they've got major concerns of how they'll exist and work. But a lot of the stuff that they are doing is some of the stuff that's being asked of all the groups, and so they might not be hurt as bad as what they think. Some of the other ones that aren't doing the same projects and events are going to get probably hurt more. have done a letter campaign and a process of trying to get funding for their Regional Economic Development Association. Okay, any questions on that one? Okay, National Police Federation. Okay, so this is RCMP's union, or
Yeah.
any questions on that letter? Okay, and then the next one is from our local RCMP, their quarterly report.
One thing that Ryan asked me to pass along on here was not only did they expand to that 6th officer that you heard about the last time they reported, they've also got the addition of support staff as well within the office. So he wanted to pass that along. So now they're going to be up to 8.
I see they're starting to advertise for those 2 positions.
Positions now. So they were pretty excited about that.
Just for an administrative note, it says Q3 report, is this not
Yeah,
Q4?
I'm not sure of their quarters for the RCMP.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
yeah, because on their document it does say Q3 too, so.
On the one it says Q4, or it goes category.
Well, on the second page in, it says quarter Q3, so.
Oh, yeah. The crime statistics one is the 4th quarter, but
Yeah.
that's from
Yeah.
2019 to 23, so. Yeah.
Not that it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, appreciate that.
I'm not gonna lie, I take the documents as they get emailed to me and put them into one for you. So I never question what they put on them for quarterly reports.
Judy?
One thing I really notice is that mental health is still pretty high, and I see the hospital still hasn't hired anybody, so I just hope that we get somebody in there.
They have actually hired someone.
Did they?
They will be starting beginning of April.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Wasn't on this one, so it must have been a later meeting. Thank you, Bart.
Okay, any other questions on the RCMP one? Okay, the next one is Purple Day. Proclamation they're requesting that we proclaim March 26th Epilepsy Awareness Day.
Is this something that we've done in the past? Because when I was talking to Kim, like when I saw Purple Day, I thought of the seniors, with their purple ribbons and stuff, so.
Last year was the first time we did it as, there was both the green and purple in the same meeting that you did proclamations for.
Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't cost us anything. We can't light our tourism center like they kind of wish that we could for that purple, but we can make the proclamation and put it on our website, and we'll just, that's direction somebody wish to make a motion.
I will.
Okay, any discussion on Barb's motion? Hearing none, call the question in favor. And carried. Okay, I need a motion for the correspondence and information items. Richard? Any discussion on Richard's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question in favor. It's carried. Okay, now moving on to bylaw number 1517-24, Family Community Support Services bylaw.
So you've all had a chance to read through it. However, we brought it up at the last meeting. I'd already started amendments. I had already talked to council about including the agreement in and having that included. And the biggest point when we looked at amendments is the bylaw itself. There was quite a few contradicting between the bylaw, the regulations, and the agreement. So I brought those all together, put them into one brand new bylaw that everything's in the same place, so that when amendments can be done, they can be done simply. We went through corrected all the anomalies in there, researched a bunch of other communities' bylaws. We sent this out to the chair and director at FCSS, and they provided feedback, and we brought it back with this. Today, Councillor Sanderson informed me of a couple other amendments that she's like to propose, so I'll let her speak to those. And
Yeah, under number 9, budget and funding, on 9.3, it says, checks and payment of expenditures shall be drawn from the appropriate bank account of the FCSS, and signing authority shall be vested with the chairperson or the vice chairperson of the board and the director. We have been using the secretary as well, because Kim Armstrong is our vice chair and she works full time. It's really hard to get her in. So we went through our minutes and added our secretary on as well. And that way, there's been a couple times on a weekend, we know there's situations with homeless people in that hotel rooms that we will leave in a locked place a signed check, but we don't like to do that, so it just makes it handier if we can have 4 people instead of the 3, so I would like to add the secretary into that.
So you need 2 signatures on each, makes
Yeah.
sense.
Just for safety precautions.
Okay, so to make this,
And I apologize, because I thought secretary was on there, so,
And that's one thing to address, because that amendment will become an anomaly in the bylaw again already. So, and I'll show you where that happens, is because for your officers, you as the town council, you have mandated to the board to elect a chairperson and a vice chair, and that's it. You can, and other officers as the board deems necessary, but nowhere in the document do you have secretary. So you could have a board next year, not have a secretary, and then you've got your bylaws saying that the secretary has to have second authority.
do you want to put member at large?
I think
Like
it
to
should,
have 4 signing, have some wording to allow a 4th signature on
I
there?
think 8.1 needs to be adjusted to include the role of secretary.
You need a secretary.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know,
You need
I know,
to add that.
yes.
Right, and that
I'll
does
just read it.
that does allow for other officers as the board deems necessary. Just doesn't put the word in there.
so do you want to distinctly,
Or put deems necessary. One other is deemed necessary in the 9.3. I was leaving that up for suggestions, but we need 4 people to sign.
2 of the 4 is what you're,
Yes. Or we don't have somebody that's working full-time and unable to come in to sign it all.
But that shouldn't come into the equation, because
No,
next year the vice chair could be somebody else.
no, that's what I mean, we
Yeah.
just make sure that the vice chair is a person that can come
Right.
into the office.
so it would have to be altered in the 2 locations. Do we want, we could give it first reading so that it gets on the floor, and then get administration to correct those 2 areas, and then bring it back to the next meeting,
For a second.
and
For second and third reading.
for second and third. It just puts off the, moving the rest of the information, so Champion won't be able to come on until after this has been approved, and we have the next one, so Champion will just have to be there as a member at whatever, but they won't be able to come on.
Something for council to consider in there, signing authority shall be vested with, and you could just put in the officers of the board.
I was gonna ask that.
Is a simpler amendment,
Yeah.
because
Leave it open.
your 8.1 designates that this council says they're gonna have a bare minimum of a chair, a vice chair, and whatever
officers.
whatever officers they decide. You can change 9.3 to be signing authority shall be vested with the chairperson should stay there, and then, or other officers of the board and the director.
Mhm.
That clarifies that, so if you,
Because then they would have to put in their minutes as to what officers are they can sign.
that's right, because for the financial institutions, all of them, they still have to have clear motions on
Yeah.
who their
Yeah.
signing authority is gonna be, so.
And we can give first reading before these.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
first,
First reading just puts it on the floor
Okay,
technically.
and then you amend
Fol-
after.
And then,
following the true procedures of a bylaw, you're supposed to put it up, you're supposed to do the first reading very first,
Yeah.
and then put it up to all the amendments,
Sure.
bring it back, and that's why it has a
Yes, yes,
second
yeah.
reading, and because you can amend all the way to the third reading.
and
But it
some
has to
munis-
be very clear on the third,
Yeah.
that's the way you
Yeah.
want it.
and some municipalities will not give first, second, and third in any meeting. You know,
Yeah, just give it time to.
give time for the administration and everybody to correct it, but unfortunately, it just holds up this whole process of bringing Champion on.
Yeah.
They can't come on until this is done, so, which is fine.
So you're comfortable with that?
So, we need a motion to,
Judy did have another,
oh,
or some more.
there's more clear.
Well, the one was put in and the other one was just a wording thing, so I have no issues with that. That was the main one.
Okay, so, so that everybody knows from the original that you saw, when we get to Appendix B, the very first one, and I don't know, I apologize, I don't know why, and I thank Judy for bringing it up. The word "the" director was not there, it was "and through director," so, that was changed immediately once we became aware of it.
Say that again, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
On the very first paragraph, the board member's role,
Yep.
and through, we were missing the word "the" director.
Okay.
So it originally stated "and through director." So I've amended it to add the word "the."
Okay. I see what you're saying.
The other one was, I know it's right that clear.
Okay,
Number 6.
I've got them here, Judy, if you'd like.
Yes, please.
So number 4, you want on of the voting.
Voting. I wanted you to clarify.
Only
that.
members of the board in attendance at a meeting of the board may vote on a matter of the board. There was a question on whether that it should include the word virtual, but virtual is covered in the number 3 right above it, where members of the board who are unable to attend meetings in person under extenuating circumstances have the option to participate in a meeting through teleconference service or electronic communication service. And that was added, and we, weeks ago when we discussed this, we added that, and what we did is we took the wording of the town council procedural bylaw and took it right in and just put members of the board, so. Because we know through COVID that attending virtually at meetings became quite a prevalent thing, so that amendment was made. So no further clarification on that one then?
No, I just wanted to make sure that was the clarification, in
Yeah.
case somebody asks.
And then number 6,
Powers and duties.
on the powers and duty, the question was, need a word removed or changed, but and really my suggestion would be to add, say, a comma if it's a flow,
Yeah.
right? Because the statement itself makes sense.
With respect to family community support services and act on such recommendations arising therefrom
as the board shall deem.
So just reading there
Yeah.
from as.
So you're reading it as a whole, so the board be cognizant of the total family and regional family community support services organization may hear and consider representations by an individual, organization, or delegation of citizens with respect to the family and community support services, and act on such recommendations arising therefrom as the board shall deem to be in the general interest of all citizens. So you could put a comma in there, but it does, and there was no wording change from the last bylaw. That's exactly how it was read and stated in the last bylaw. So,
And I thought it sounded funny there too, and that's why I just put it out.
yeah, it's the legalese side of things, and it's the therefrom. So,
Thank you.
and that was it for the amendments that were brought up.
Okay, so we need a motion to give it first reading. Cole?
I'd like to give first reading.
Okay, any question on Cole's motion? Hearing none, call question in favor. Opposed, seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Okay, moving on to the regional FCS agreement. So this one here is what we have to postpone, or refer to the next meeting. Because we have to give the bylaw second and third before we can hear this, so we need a motion to remove it from the agenda, so Barbara, to refer it to the next meeting. Barbara moves. Any question on Barbara's motion? Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call question. All in favor is carried unanimously. Okay, moving on to 6.2 then.
Okay.
Purchase of an event tent.
So Chris put this together using funds from the fundraising that was done through the Tip Tap Pay. They have an opportunity to purchase an event tent, and right now it's on sale.
Yeah.
You get a pretty good deal on it at $3,200. The intent of it is to be used on that back patio behind because of the direct sun that gets during the event, those sort of things. And yeah, it's only using it to start with tourism.
Storage is not a problem, there's something to store back there, isn't there? There's a shed or something.
We just built that mezzanine upstairs and the shed out back, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so any question?
I'd like to make the recommendation that council approves the tourism department's proposal for the purpose of event tent at a cost not to exceed $3,200 with the funds to be drawn from the tourism center donation reserve.
Okay, any discussion on Lyle's motion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed, seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Okay, temporary use of town-owned land.
So everybody's had a chance to read the report. The request is, has come through from somebody that has a development permit out to do a moved-in home on the north side. We've got the map, the request. The reason why I did the recommendation is recommendation for a motion should always be for the positive. So if you are in favor of it, you would vote like normal. If you're not in favor of moving forward, you would just not vote for the motion as presented, or you could amend it to whatever wording you would like. One of the biggest points in there is the 8 weeks. Previously, when the house sat on the lot next door, it did sit for significantly longer, but that was due to the services not being installed, and so they had to wait until the services were installed to the two lots before they
They're
could.
written on this lot now.
They are,
Okay.
yeah. The big weight on this one is the spring, and we know as well as any what this spring, when is that gonna come? So that's why, with that, based on how vague the letter was, saying that it would be no more than 8 weeks, that is why I put the wording that not to exceed 8 weeks from arrival or removal before a set date, because if you are considering it as council, it should have a set date on it. You can go back and say it was to be removed by this date.
That lot's been dormant for a long time, hasn't it?
The lot she's moving on to?
The one she's, wants to
Oh,
store.
it's a green space for the town, so.
Okay.
And it went through a proposal 6 years ago
Put sea
to
cans
put
on.
sea cans in there for community storage,
Yeah.
and the neighboring residents brought up concerns that they didn't want it used for that purpose, so.
What are the consequences if it's longer than 8 weeks?
They remove it,
They remove it,
or ask for an extension. I
or
guess.
bring it back to council for an extension.
Sure.
Okay.
So theoretically, we could then say, sorry, pick it up and move it somewhere else, and
because it's a home, we moved on, my initial reaction to, and from an administration standpoint, is there's storage places that are not public land.
Yeah.
Having said that, most storage places, even close to our community, are not set up for receiving a home on skids.
Yeah.
So being that the empty lot is there, the neighboring property is industrial, there is a house under construction right next door. Those are all things to consider in the request.
Any damage caused by the move in, move out, are they willing to take care of that?
It's assumed that we haven't put anything in there, and that could be something that could be written into the motion.
I think it's probably what it's.
That the applicant be responsible for any damage to the lot.
And clean up of
Yeah.
the lot,
Exactly.
lot to previous conditions. And
Yeah.
so I mean, if they bring it in, it's wet and moist and they've got it
Yeah,
all up, then
chew it all up.
it should be
Yeah.
their responsibility to
I
clean
agree.
it up. And so, I mean, we could definitely add that to the motion to,
And that the applicant be responsible for remediation of any damage to the
Yeah.
lot.
I agree. I think that's a smart move.
okay, any more thoughts on this? Somebody wish to move this forward? Richard?
I'll make the motion that we proceed. Where is it? The recommendation with the add-on of any damage.
Would you like me to
That
read?
the council approve the request to grant temporary access to Lot 9, Block 41, Plan 3986 JK for the purposes of storing a previously occupied home as per development permit number D23-36 for a period not to exceed 8 weeks from arrival or removed prior to May 15th of 2024.
And that the applicant be responsible for any remediation of damage to the lot.
Okay. Any discussion on Richard's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Okay, moving on to the strategic planning priorities list update.
So based on the conversation from the committee of the whole meeting, it was very productive and we got quite a bit through. I was able to come back and very quickly update the document. The reason why the updates is you guys have already approved this, but identified a few things that would like to be updated because of course this sits on our website for the public to know where those strategic priorities are. So the notes were, where the ones that were completed, acknowledging that council plans to update the 5-year plan, the Virginia Mitchell Park development is to complete some in-house short-term planning and to monitor the development plans for the Ag Society facility. And then the walking path extension to be included in the updated infrastructure replacement plan, and knowing the cost of our buy-in to the Marquis Foundation for the senior housing development, so we've added that, and then put the note on there of when this was reviewed and the council meeting that you reapproved it.
Okay, any thoughts or questions on this document? If not, somebody wish to move it? Judy?
I'll move that, recommend that council approve the amended 2022 strategic planning priorities list as presented and directs administration to make this document available to the public on the town's website.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on Judy's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question in favor. Opposed, seeing none, carried unanimously. Okay, moving on to committee reports. We've got one there from the Health Foundation. November. Any questions on this one? Okay, if not, move on to Marcus Foundation from November, again, to November 28th. not, we'll move on to the solid waste, so for December the 7th. Okay, any questions on that one? Okay, if not, we'll go on to Mayors and Reeves from January the 5th.
Did you say they might move the dates of their meetings now?
Well, they're talking about, you know, when we get to my report, I will talk about that a little bit, if that's okay. Okay, and then the FCSS January 18th meeting. No questions, and then there was a special meeting on the 23rd. Okay, any questions on any of those 7 items? 5 items, sorry. If not, send it Cole. Moves to file. Okay, thank you. Any question on the Cole's motion? Hearing none, I'll call questions in favor. Opposed? Hearing none, it's carried unanimously. Okay, now verbal ones. Councillor Magnuson.
Just like everyone here, I was at the committee of the whole meeting on February the 7th in Calgary, which I thought was a great location, and I think we got a lot of work done, in my opinion. And I had a ratepayer come to my office last week and just, he was a professional photographer, and thought we could do better with our council photo, and he'd be willing to, at no charge, consult with us to get sort of dressed, color coordinated, or however that works, and just get us better set up to have a more professional picture in his opinion. And like I say, he's said he would do that at no charge, so I said I would bring that to council so we could talk about that.
That was for the one that's in the
It's in the rec guide, and
rec guide.
it's also, was, the reason he brought it up this time is it was posted on social media just to let people know about our meeting this evening.
It's the photo that we took when you were elected. That,
Yeah.
We post when we need a picture of council all together, we use that.
Okay. Any comments for Bob?
I would like a new photo, if that's possible.
I'll do whatever anybody wants to do. I have no problem with this one
Yeah,
or the other.
it's just we have to organize it so
That's
we're
exactly it.
all 7 of us or 8 of us together, because like you tonight, you know, Bill's not here, so.
And he said it would probably take about 20 minutes. Could do it before a meeting, or it's going to be a schedule
Yeah.
thing. So.
Okay, so,
I can reach out to him and have him
yeah, sure.
put out the time and whatnot that would work, because he's going to need more time here than he will with you folks. So I'll just try to arrange a time for him, and
I
then
guess we could put our uniforms on.
I'll just reach out
Okay, sounds
and
good.
have him. If you're okay with me forwarding your contact information, then he can arrange. It's the time and place. It's a very nice offer.
Yeah. Okay, anything else for Bob? Okay, thank you. Councillor DeBoer?
Minus the photo on the same as Lyle, just the committee as a whole. I thought, quite honestly, I went in there thinking, is this gonna be worth it? And I actually got a lot out of it. I really enjoyed it. And in fact, my George Lee, she says, well, did you enjoy it? I said, yeah. She said, I told you you'd like it. And I said, well, actually, it was very informative. I really enjoyed it. So thank you for going there, I thought.
Yeah, and Will did say that, you know, if it would have been here, he had 2 calls that
Yeah.
had gone on and
Yeah,
left.
yeah,
So we would have lost, you know, a
Yeah.
member. And I think that's the unfortunate part of it, is that sometimes you need to get away into
Yeah.
different settings so that you can, you know, you can't just walk out the door and go where you go because you have to.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else for Chair?
no, just good spot to have it, I thought it was a nice building, actually, it was
Yeah.
very calming, so. That's all I got to say on it.
Okay, great, thank you. Councillor Smith's not here, so we'll go on to Councillor Sanderson.
On January 25th, had a Teams building meeting with M3, clarifying where we are with our funds. They were requesting more money for design, but seeing as we're already at a Class B, till we hear from the provincial government, we don't want more funds going out. Confusion over when funds were available for the HPP grant, if awarded, we were told a couple different things. Derek was unavailable to get on the phone, and so we went over some different scenarios and scheduled another meeting with Derek to confirm and answer some questions. So the next morning, actually, at 9, on January 26th, Derek came on. He couldn't give definitive answers to when the HPP money is funded, so he had to call and advise us. He had one he had said we could get it immediate, and one was after the CMHC co-investment is approved. Joseph Shaw, I think I advised you guys of this, was advised that he should be first. We still haven't heard anything, so I don't know what's going on with this. It's been a little bit frustrating. We have received a total of, at this time, $105,000 as a donation. So if we get approved, we've got some money that we have stock funds going out, and this $105,000 donation money that we could proceed and get our designs completed with all the changes that we have made currently. So right now it's just pens down until we hear from the government. It has been my experience as a banker that unless something's seriously wrong, there's no reason why that CMHC co-investment loan should be approved. So just waiting to hear what the government has to say. January 30th, we had a special executive board of directors transportation meeting with 2 of our staff at FCSS, Gail Work, Barbara Moore-Coffey, and 2 of the executive and previously community group of at least 8 organizations, including Health and Wellness, AHS, Ladies Auxiliary, Lions, Rainbow Literacy, Fire and EMS, Extended Care, and FCSS met together with Claris Home Transportation. Claris Home Transportation was on Zoom. There were some concerns, questions, and discussions that this group wanted the executive board to be aware of and attend. Unfortunately, Kim Armstrong was working and couldn't come. We went over a bunch of issues and numbers, and I think the numbers was kind of an eye-opener that maybe the organizations hadn't thought about. There was 2 ideas put forth, and we left it with the committee group to see how they wanted to head with this project. I haven't talked to Dawn, you probably know where you're going, but I haven't talked to her. In the letter of intent to apply for this grant for transportation is February 7th, so I haven't followed up with that. January 30th, Marcus Foundation, 5 policies were rewritten and approved. Self-contained housing rent, we increased that. It hadn't been increased for over 10 years. We just moved it up 5%. We don't want to shock everybody, but we'll be looking at it a little bit more closely and not leaving it for 10 years. That will put it up about $6 a month. So it's not horrible, but anything for a senior is not always the best. 357, the government raised that up to 357, must remain with the residents and not for their own spending. We advised the board that we're on hold until HPP is awarded. We had a short close meeting for staff info, and next meeting will be with our new auditor, M&P, to go over our 2023 financials. We haven't met with them yet, just Gloria has. County wanted everyone to know that they were having a tarping open house on February 28th at 1:15, setting new rules. Whether tarps, big trucks should be tarped, even just going from the field across the road and over to the bins is what it could potentially come down to. So anybody that affects, I recommend they go into that. February 5th, we had Victim Services had a team meeting with 2 government staff to discuss the redesign update, because they'll be taking us over here in Vulcan in September, the end of September. So it's VRVSS, which is Victim Services Regional Society, to RVS, which is Regional Victim Services Society. So most affected victim services, of course, are rural. The cities, anybody that's got municipal policing can keep their victim services. There's a lot of high functioning, we are very high functioning victim services, but there's a lot of low functioning, so they're trying to even it out a bit, and what it will affect is governance and human resources. So Vulcan will retain a court support / navigator in our detachment, and our current program manager has to go through an interview process, and so hopefully they allow her to retain her position, because our concern is we've hired 2, because as I mentioned before, daycare isn't taking any new children, so she can't work full time, so we've hired an assistant program manager. So we're hoping the government will allow 2 employees to work out at the Vulcan detachment. So that is our hope. One good thing, there's a few good things about it. There's no more fundraising or grant writing, because the government looks after all that. They will get paid full benefits, pension plan, or an RSP package for paid staff, and room for career growth within the organization. So it sounds promising. Our concern is our people, victims in our area. They have decided now to look after trauma, so how that's going to look, we won't know. This is stage 1, and step 1 they called it, and step 2 they go through insurance and all that. So I don't think they have taken over some. They are taking over some at the end of February, and we've been extended 6 months. So we're in the South region, which encompasses the RCMP district map. So if you look on an RCM district map, we're in that region. So we could be called to Medicine Hat, but if you can't go, you can't go. So I'm trying to look at the positives of this and just hope that our people will be looked after. And again, I also attended the Committee of the Whole on February 7th. I thought it was a great day, and thank you very much, Kim, for all your hard work in that. It was greatly appreciated.
Any questions for Judy? If not, thank you, Councillor Mulcahy.
I had a health and wellness meeting on January 31st, and I do know the mental health provider will be there, hired for April 1st. I know that they did mention they've hired 5 more nurses, and 3 of them are male, I do believe. And the emergency department for 2023, the numbers exceeded what it was during COVID. They were very surprised at how high the numbers are. They're still hoping to gain a 6th physician. There's still, offers out there, but no one has. Yep, no one hit that fish hook yet. So and then just the Committee of the Whole, and I thought it was a fantastic day, and a lot of work on your end for downloading all those documents that we've requested, and I thought it was great.
Okay, any questions for Barbara? No? Thank you, Councillor Dunn.
Also attended the Committee of the Whole meeting. I thought it was a great location. I thought as a council we seemed to all be on the same page. A lot of A lot of good things came from it. I had an emergency meeting from SouthGrow to discuss the this lack of funding coming our way, or cuts, I guess, but it unfortunately overlapped with our committee of the whole meeting. It was a Zoom call, so I probably could have jumped on it during lunch, but I didn't. I didn't want to distract from our meeting, so I think Peter did a pretty good job of summing up, I guess, in this report here, so that was it.
Okay, any questions for Cole? Hey, around to me. We had a SEWA meeting with HZI, and which was all in camera, but they are going to make HZI is making a pitch to the board, the whole board, on February the 28th, I believe it is, or the 26th, I should say, sorry. The only thing is that they've asked every person that is in attendance has to sign a non-disclosure agreement before they will make that presentation to, so it's going to be by Zoom again, but they sent out some information, but we can't share it at all, and because it's got some information in there that's proprietary, and they're not prepared to allow that to be released. So it's one of those things where it's very frustrating for some of the people that are on our board, because some of them believe that every piece of information should be free for everybody to listen to, unless it has something to do with them, and then they can't. They aren't interested in participating and sharing it with us. So, so it is a kind of a two-sided coin. Then we had a solid waste meeting, and it was a good meeting again. A discussion about some of the things moving forward. The Arrowwood issue has kind of resolved its issue itself. I think the two representatives of one municipality that felt that the other municipality was unfairly treating them, finally figured it out that that's not the way it is. It's just that. So, and it was costing them about $7,000 a year more than what it should have, just so that they could accommodate some of the ratepayers that live around them. So it's, I think, kind of resolved itself and has hopefully will go away. Mayors and Reeves, again, there was 33 in person and 15 online, and of those 15 or 33 that were in person, there was 5 from the PA program, which is physician assistant program. I'd never heard of it. Been involved in healthcare for 40-some years and never heard anything about this physician assistant. And what it is that right at the moment we have approximately 60 of them in the province of Alberta, and they have more ability or more power or ability, I guess it is, than a nurse practitioner. And so it's really big in the armed forces industry, because they can have a doctor sitting in Toronto and nurse or a PA on site somewhere else, and they just refer back and forth, and so they don't have the doctor doesn't have to see the whites of the eyes of the patient. And with the technology that's out there today, they're really pushing it. They're saying that all you have to have is a degree. Doesn't matter what kind of degree you have, and then you can apply for this nurse practitioner program, and it's a 2-year university degree. And it's University of Calgary is going to offer it in the spring. So that was really interesting, because like I said, there was one doctor there that says, we need to, do more teamwork, grow our own people, so that, have some of these. And he just, this one lady, there was a lady from Raymond and a lady from Milk River, and there's a lady in by Brooks that are 3 in the south here type of thing that are doing this nurse practitioner program. And so it was great to see and listen to. And again, the only biggest thing will be is again, more or less like the nurse practitioner is the funding model. You know, how do you get it out of coming out of the doctor's pay? Although this doctor that was there says, you know, all I have to do is walk in and see the whites of the eyes of the patient, and he says, now I can charge for her that's, you know, doing the work for me. So he says he averages 70 patients a day because of his nurse practitioner. And he says, you know, she's doing the majority of the work. All he does is come in and check to make sure that, you know, and she refers back and forth. So he says it's a great thing. So I think that we're going to see more of these. But again, like I said, I've been involved in healthcare for over 40 years, and that's the first I've ever heard of it. So hopefully it'll be something that will move forward. Again, we had, you know, on the 15 that were online, Grant Hunter did get in and talked about his report a little bit, but he was just kind of in and out and had to leave. There was a lady there for the MLAs, and she just spoke a little bit about MPs. You know, of course, they're sitting, so you know there wasn't going to be an MP there, but she just talked about some of the things that are happening, which most of us have already heard about on the news. And the one about the terms of reference is where it was discussed that maybe a Friday wasn't the best day, maybe pick a different day. But so they're going to do a bit of canvassing with all the MLAs and MPs and find out which is the best day to meet. There was quite a huge discussion about, you know, it's something that we really get hung up on, especially today, is the name, mayors and Reeves. What happens if you have a deputy mayor there? You know, so now do you have to have mayors, deputy mayors, and Reeves and deputy Reeves? And it kind of got a little bit ridiculous. So they left it as mayors and Reeves, and they also changed a bit of it in saying that if a municipality wishes to send somebody else, you know, they should have the ability to send them, and they should have the same. And so there was a couple there that have been there for a while, and you know, kind of an old boys club, and say, you know, why should we have to tell somebody else or not have this? And then there was a bit of a discussion of, you know, do you write down who's should be there? You know, like how far does it go? And so it was kind of got ridiculous, and finally I left because my meter was running out of time for
For the city hall.
in front of City Hall. Yeah, like I mean, we went over 3 hours at this meeting, and last hour was just discussing craziness. But anyway, I assume that in the end it'll work its way out. But that was under the terms of reference of picking a date that is suitable. And again, some of them, you know, were worried about the price, you know, how much it costs. And I just said, well, then just stay home and you pay, you know, the $100 for the other, you know, because it went from 100 to 200. And, you know, some of them really had problems with that. And the sad thing about it was some of the ones that were the biggest complainers are the largest population and the ones that probably get the best bang out of mayors and Reeves. It was kind of disappointing to hear the whining that came from them. Anyway, that's about it for me. And Jason did mention that this year FCM's having their convention, which you guys probably all noticed, in June 6th to the 9th in Calgary. So if we're wanting to participate as cheaply as possible, this will probably be our only chance to ever go to FCM, you know, and not have to go to Toronto or to Ontario or wherever. So it's in Calgary. So everybody should have probably got an invite from FCM to that when that convention's coming up. So in the near future, we probably should think about if we're interested in somebody wanting to go. He said it was the 6th to the 9th of June. That's what Jason said. So he just brought that up, said that, you know, it's as close as it'll probably ever be in Calgary. So that's it for me, unless somebody's got some questions. not, somebody wish to file that, Councillor Barbara? Any discussion on Barbara's motion? Hearing none, the call question, those in favor? Meeting is carried. Okay, action list.
So everybody's had a chance to review everything from the last meeting that's been accomplished and the 2 outstanding items that will be there for a fair amount of time.
Okay,
That's
COs.
my CAO report. As you know, I've got a pretty busy couple of weeks with spent quite a bit of time with North and Company working on that land purchase agreement. Several meetings after we got back from the committee of the whole. I had a minute. We had it fairly close to what I thought was going to be a 15 minutes to review the amendments that had been made. It turned into a 2-hour meeting and more amendments, so I was able to review those today and get them back to North and Company again. So we're still working on that land purchase agreement. Fundamentally, nothing has changed from the letter of intent. It's just wording and how we're going to add stuff to the development agreement as opposed to really trying to get away. Right now, there's a lot of wording being added to the purchase agreement that should be in the development agreement. So we're navigating that as we speak. So worked with the FCSS director and chair on the bylaw changes. So yeah, it was kind of nice because I'd done a lot of preliminary research before that. So the amendments really didn't take us that long. I think that I had them done in about 3 days. And people were really quick on responding, which was nice. The sports court tender is out as we speak, closes on the 29th of February. So they basically have a month, and they're anticipating, they've had lots of questions so far, so anticipating hopefully better pricing. And so people excited about picking that up as a starter job this spring. I've made request to the province for the champion addition to the based on the motion from the last council meeting. Did the job description, and we have the posting for the bylaw enforcement officer at part-time. We're not getting a great response on the part-time side, so we've had a couple that have applied and then asked more questions and then pulled their resume. So I'm still kicking around. We'll take the applicants and look at it, and then I may come back to council at whether the part-time or full-time is just what we're looking for that position. So I'll evaluate that once we get that closes, and that closes at the end of this week. Worked with the Vulcan County on the fire budget and the CPO transition. As you know, when a CPO leaves, generally sell equipment because it's fitted jackets and those sort of things. So we sell that at a market value. And so that's all taken place. Prepared for the committee of the whole meeting, and really most of those documents, as you guys are aware, are the ones that we make publicly available. So that part, I appreciate thanking me for putting that together. That was the easy part, the transfer of the 11,000 files that I thought we might need. That was a little bit bigger job. It took 4 hours, but it was good. I think that the facility worked well. I think having everybody candid and captured in the same facility with not leaving and being distracted really helps focus on the plan. And as you can see, you're not far off from your original strategic plan. So it means the work that you put in last time made it so much easier this time. So it was really just a refresher. So that was nice. And again, means that our method and process is working on that. So you're actually obtaining your goals, which is good. The CPO resignation I had, as I don't know if you are all aware, but their appointment is through the town, so we have to do a whole bunch of reporting when anybody resigns. We have to return all of their IDs and all of that stuff, so that was all submitted, and I haven't heard back, so they must have accepted it all. So, and then just a letter of support, worked on some bylaw questions, really dogs, bylaws, labor disputes. There was a lot of people that were in the middle of files with our peace officer that were like, where do I go from here? What do I do? And between the staff and myself, we've been able to handle all the inquiries until we get a bylaw officer in place. most of the stuff, when you really break it down, a lot of the stuff is petty neighbor disputes, or it's full blown, this is an RCMP issue, not a CPO, so. Council member inquiries did quite a bit with the FCSS, and then there's been some housing questions that have come up. Gabby's last day was on February 2nd, at a meeting with RA West and Pristine Homes about development, and that's based on that multifamily residential site, so that looks like it's gaining some momentum. RCMP had a meeting with Ryan about the CPO program, and an update on council's decision for the changed bylaw, and they are very supportive of that, and will monitor how that progresses as well, and we're willing to change some presence around town, those sort of things, but also discuss the various options for, because of the change in the policing, there was always the enhanced program where you could hire a full-time RCMP officer. He also informed me that there's a secondary, that they've expanded that program where you can bring them in for a set amount of hours per year rather than the full, and it's for communities that bring in extra officers for, say, larger events, those sort of things. And he said that he'd provide that information. He did. It averages about $90 an hour to bring somebody in, but something that we could look at if we are seeing gaps in enforcement that they were willing to do as well. Futureville purchase agreement, January 26th. Again, as soon as I got back, you can see that's the last one on February 8th, and we're getting there. Still working fairly hard at some amendments, and obviously the committee of the whole on the 7th. And I also thought that the location was good because it pulled everybody out of their element, and everybody was very focused on updating their documents. That's my report.
Okay, any questions for Kim? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the development officers. Any questions for Rita's? Okay, if not, we will move on.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, the hotel development, just looking for a suitable developer interest, is, I take it with that balance of report, that just went away, I guess, did it, or?
No, she's been providing it to several developers,
Okay.
and talking about what options we have for.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause it'd be nice to get some people come here and stay.
Absolutely. That's the intent.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, moving on to Public Works, sorry.
And, it was discussed at the committee of the whole, but obviously the major one was the Olympia failure, and of course the door and the compressor freezing. It was a pretty significant month for the arena, but they were able to work their way through all of that. The condenser freezing up, there might be a small leak in there, and it was building up with ice, and of course when you get that heavy frost, that's one of the reasons why we have the screens the way we do, and the guys go out every couple hours and clean those off when we get the heavy fogs. So I'm still working on that system.
Okay, anything else on Stu's?
On the Olympia, we talked about the community of the whole maybe looking into a service contract after
Extended
warranty. Yeah, it might be something to look into, see what, because boy, I don't know what the cost of some of these parts are, so.
Yeah, and I had a brief conversation with Stu about that.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else on? The only complaints I had is that they took the Christmas lights down too soon.
Those were you two in my truck on the way home from Calgary.
No, I had other ones that, they really enjoyed those Christmas lights, and then the other one is that, some of us that travel to other municipalities realize that we're very fortunate that we do get as much snow removal as we do, at least in the intersections, And I know that there are some people that think it should be down to bare asphalt
Yeah.
every inch of the way, but we're very fortunate compared to some municipalities that are not as have as much snow removal as we do. So.
Stu did mention that they're gonna have to haul a little bit more of this away than the last, because it's not packing up properly. It's pretty soft in areas, so they will be moving a bunch of it around.
I'm just glad we're finally getting some snow.
Yeah, no kidding, eh?
Yeah, all the drought talk has really helped with people not complaining about snow when it comes.
Anyway, I think they're doing a great job, so personally. Anything else on stews or? Okay, if not, we'll move on to, I guess, the community services.
And not in this report, but I've had some very good conversations with Chris about the direction the council gave on the marketing side. What he's gonna do as part of his report going forward, once we get the budget approved for some of the marketing that we're looking at, is he will do a reporting as part of this report. So you'll basically see recreation, tourism, and economic development. He has agreed just today to take the lead on that and kind of run with that and try to work with everybody. So Amanda and I are trying to figure out how to put that in the budget. Most likely we'll add it under 2 items under the for this year, so that council, and we'll just dump everything into that. We'll probably split funding between marketing and then wages. That way, so say Chris, if he's using a third of his wages, we'll track them through that, and then we'll be able to figure out for the future what that looks like is, and how we want to move that forward. And then if he brings somebody else in to help, whether it be on the tourism side or the recreation side, those wages will then be reflected inside those budgets rather than through this marketing side. So
Good to hear.
he was a lot more excited about it than I thought he would be. So yeah, it was really nice to see.
Okay, anything else on that one?
Did want to mention that they are the tickets for Volcon are going very well as well.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So this year they've pre-sold more than some years we've actually sold. So, and he hasn't even announced the guest yet. So
Really? That's awesome.
it sounds like he's got 4 guests coming, and a couple of them at a fairly. One was free, and the other one was very, very. Yeah. So very excited about that.
Okay. Any questions on Chris's? Okay, last one from Gabby.
Yeah. Funny enough, she did work January, so she said we finalized all of her 2023 reporting and her submissions to SolGen, and we actually finished out 2023's yearly report as well. So we took the month, put it into the yearly format. So in December, I'll be able to submit that as well, if nothing changes inside the program.
Any comments or questions on that one? Okay, if not, over to the fire chiefs. Okay, any questions on Peter's? Okay, if not, somebody wish to move the
I'd like to
Cold. Moves the reports. Any discussion on Cole's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question in favor. It's carried. So I guess we need one more motion. Judy.
Judy doesn't even want us phone will anymore.
No. So any discussion on Judy's motion to adjourn? Hearing none, all in favor? We are officially adjourned.
And this.
So, yeah. I got